Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. We're going to be doing a top 10 list today. Today's top 10 list is top 10 games to play on Halloween. And you want to pick these like creepy games that give you that spooky vibe. And I decided to make this list because we have a Halloween game night coming up here, and I was going through my games, thinking about which games I should bring to that. And so I decided, well, hey, why not make a list? Everybody else makes a list for Halloween. I'll make a list for Halloween. So these are my top 10 games I would suggest for you to play on Halloween. Let's go to number 10. Number 10 is the least creepy out of these games. Doesn't have that spooky vibe to it, but it's definitely got the theme. And this is Horrified. We're talking about the Universal Monsters edition of this. This is a cooperative board game where you're going to be moving around this board trying to defeat different monsters from the Universal Monsters series of movies that came out. You talk about your Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, your Frankenstein, your Invisible Man, stuff like that, the creature from the Black Lagoon. This might be my favorite game on this list, but it's the least creepy, and that's why I put it at number 10. It's a very solid game, one that I really, really love. So, with that being said, let's go to number 9 then. Number 9 is a game that I really like solo. This is The Bloody Inn. In The Bloody Inn, this is a card management game that has the cards are multi-use, which is always a good thing, in my opinion. And in the theme of this game is you are running a hotel, and all these guests are coming in, and you are going to be killing some of them, and you're taking their money. And the interesting part of it will be when the cops come, because if the cops come and stay at your hotel and you have bodies lying around, that's no bueno. So you're going to have to kill these people, take their money, and then bury them before the cops come and end up finding you. And I think in the solo game you lose if the cops come. It's been like 6 months since I've played this game, but since Halloween is coming up, I'm going to be breaking this out and playing it quite a few more times. Because like I said, it's been 6 months, and that's too long to go without playing one of my favorite solo games. Let's go to number 8. Number 8 is Fury of Dracula. This is a hidden movement game where one player is going to be playing as Dracula, and the other players are going to be moving around the board trying to find Dracula and kill him. It's a really good game. It's fun to try and find out where Dracula is, because if you go to a spot where Dracula was, that place he'll reveal that he was there, and it might be a bad thing too, because he might have left some bad things there at that spot for you to discover, like other vampires or some other different things. Game that I've really enjoyed. My group really likes it. It's fun to work together trying to discover where he is and kind of center point where he is on the map. Going to number 7, we're trying to go through these pretty fast. Number 7 is the newest game on this list. I actually just talked about this in my previous R&R video. This is The Night Cage. And like I said in that video, I don't know if I think the game's that great, but I really like the vibe that this game gives off. The Night Cage is this dungeon crawl game where all of you have just a candle that you're moving around the dungeon, so you can't really see very far. The only tiles that you can see are the tiles right beside each other. And if you move off a spot and you move one space away from some of the other spots that you've seen before, those get taken off the map. And you are trying to, there's four players, you're trying to all get a key, find a key in these rooms that you are discovering slowly, trying to pick up a key, and then you all have to escape on a gate. And this is a really thematic game. You are going to have there's a timing mechanism where there's this stack of tiles that is a candle burning, and once there's no more tiles left, that's when you're going to end up losing the game. So you can see the candle burning and burning and getting lower and lower, but you're trying to escape this dungeon area. There's also monsters that are going to come out onto the board and hit you, and you're going to lose even more tiles from that. Just a really good game. I think we're going to try and play this game by candlelight. So, yeah, that's going to be a fun time for that one. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 is Elder Sign. This is going to take place in the Cthulhu world, which there's so many Cthulhu games. But this is a dice allocation cooperative game where players are going to be rolling these dice that have these symbols and placing them on these rooms. I'm not sure what they're called, but these little cards that have like different objectives on them. Like you need to roll 2 skulls. This line you need to roll a couple scrolls. There's a couple different symbols on them that you're going to need to roll in order to beat those cards. And what you're trying to do is close these gates that these elder gods are trying to come out and devour the world with. It's a fun game. I really like it. I like dice allocation games in general usually, and this is one of the better ones. Let's go to number 5. Number 5 is Abomination: The Heir of Frankenstein. This is a competitive worker placement game where you're going to be moving around this board, placing out your workers, trying to collect different resources. And those resources are body parts and blood and organs or whatever. And you are trying to build your own Frankenstein monster. And so yes, this has got that Frankenstein theme. It's quite a good game. The only part of the game that frustrates me is at the end when you have to roll your dice to see when you pull that lever to see if those body parts come alive. That can be frustrating, but altogether this is a very good worker placement game. Let's go to where are we at? Number 4. Number 4 is a huge, massive dungeon crawl game. This is Mansions of Madness. Another game that takes place in the Cthulhu world, and you are going to be cooperatively moving around this board. And this uses an app, and a lot of people don't like app-based games. I really like this game. The only problem is sometimes this game takes a long time, but you're going to be moving around this board and solving whatever scenario you're doing for that particular mission. And so if you like dungeon crawl games, this game I would highly suggest for you. It's going to be a fun time for everyone and a very good game to play on Halloween. Going to number 3. Number 3 is Mysterium. Mysterium is a game that is very comparable to Dixit in my opinion. But one player is going to be playing as the ghost, and they can't talk at all in this game. But they are going to have to give out these clue cards that are just vivid, random pictures. And they're trying to give you these clue cards to show you who killed them, how they died, and in what location they died in. And it's just a fun game, and you can get into the theme of this one, especially if the ghost isn't talking, because a lot of times you play Mysterium and the ghost, they give you a clue and you're thinking, oh, maybe this person killed me, and you can tell that their face goes, so it's kind of cheating. So if you play with a person who's being the ghost, they're doing a really good job. This can be a very fun game. Very hard game for me, because I can't seem to understand what the ghost ever wants me to do. But fun nonetheless. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 is Pandemic: Reign of Cthulhu. Again, another Cthulhu game. Hey, there's so many Cthulhu games out there. I do like the Cthulhu theme, so I can't complain too much about it. Actually, Reign of Cthulhu is right there. This is one of my favorite Pandemic games, and it plays a lot like regular Pandemic, but instead of curing viruses, you are actually going around the board. I think you're killing the cultists. I don't know. You're removing the cultists from the board, and you're trying to do that before they awaken more gods. What's really interesting about this game is whenever there's the clash of more than 3 cultists on a spot, it awakens a new god, and then on the top track is all these different gods, and you're going to flip over one of these gods, and some new bad thing is going to happen to you, and it's going to be hard to beat this game. My game group, we might just suck at this game. I'm not sure, but we have a very hard time beating this one. Out of all the Pandemic games, might be the one that we have the trouble beating the most. We have a very bad win percentage in this one, but it might be one of my favorites. because I like the theme of it. I like the elder gods that are revealed for it, even though that they are a pain in your butt when they are revealed. So let's go to my number one game that I would suggest to play during Halloween, and that is Arkham Horror, the card game, another game that goes in the Cthulhu mythos world. It says the card game, this is an LCG, but it is basically a board game. You're going to set all these cards out onto, your table, and you're going to be moving around from room to room, much like a board game. And the mechanics are they're fine. They're okay. Uh, you're going to be moving around from location to location, trying to solve whatever the scenario is, kind of like Mansions of Madness. But I really, really love the story in this one. It feels very thematic to me. When I play this game and you read out the cards, it gives me chills sometime. So yeah, it's my number one because I love the setting of it. I love how it makes me feel. It gives me that spooky vibe, especially if we're going to be playing in a dim lighted room, which I think for our Halloween games, we are probably going to try and do that for the most part. This one can kind of be hard for that just because there is a lot of text and reading for that. But that is my entire list of games I would suggest for you to play on Halloween. I hope you guys have a great Halloween night. Hope you get some games in for it. Hope everyone has a great day. Take care.